Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I am coming on briefly. I just got off of a session with a client this afternoon, and I told her I'm going to go do a video about part of our conversation. My conversation and the topic of the video, you guys can't see topics over live on Instagram, but my topic over here on YouTube is that I put on the title is why I said I would never marry a pastor. That's the topic today, guys. Why I said I would never marry a pastor. Hi, Eunice. So, in the conversation today with a client, she was saying how she had met an older gentleman and he was a self-proclaimed minister or man of God or whatever. You know, ladies, I'm talking to you today. Okay, this is the ladies. This is some girl talk. Fellas, you can be on here if you want, but I'm just going to give you guys the upfront, caveat that I'm really talking to women today. And in the subject of her discussing how she's met this guy and he, hey, Nichelle, how he, is self-proclaimed, man of God. And it literally caused me to remember my dating experiences, right, guys? And I had said when I was single, for those of you who have read my book, those of you who have followed me for years, you know that I was dead set against marrying a pastor. And I had some really, really strong feelings about that. Really, really strong feelings about why I did not want to marry a pastor. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that my dad was a pastor. Love my dad to death, love my dad to pieces. But would I have wanted to be married to him? No, not at all. Nowadays, it seems like a thing, kind of like side note, it seems kind of like a thing, like women really want to be first ladies, right? Like women are like thinking like they want to be married to a pastor or a minister or be a first lady, like it's some type of a status symbol or some type of power play or power couple. And I'm like, are you crazy? I mean, I don't know that anybody in their real, true, right mind wants to sign up for all the heartache and headache that comes along with being in ministry as a couple. It's so hard. That's right. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't think I would do it again. Exactly. So here's my story, guys. And this is what I said I was going to come on and share. Hey, Anna. In talking to my client, that's right, Laura, pastors are called to serve the church. Less time for you, the wife, less time for family. My husband actually just did a sermon on this. He spoke on the Love Stream on Sunday at the Way Life Center, talking about how the pressures of serving and how he was so imbalanced for most of his 30 plus years of serving in ministry. His children suffered. He ended up divorced. Like it is not an easy way to go. But I'm going in a different direction today with the video. Okay, I need y'all to hear me because I'm going to keep it real. Because I believe in honesty, and I believe, like in this conversation I had with my client today, it brought up these memories that I had from when I was dating. And one of the things that I recall is, first of all, when you're a PK, you're behind the scenes of what really goes on in ministry. Hey, Crystal. You're really privy to a lot of the mechanics. Like if the restaurant is where you're being served, right, in a ministry, let's just call the restaurants the dining room and the church is the dining room where you're being served. When you're a PK or you're in ministry, you're back in the kitchen. And when you're in the kitchen, you see all the craziness and the mess and the shenanigans. You see everybody's personal issues. I mean, and then you watch ministers go out and they perform, but you know about their personal life and it's a hot mess. And one of the things that is so difficult about religion in general, obviously I was born Christian, right? So I'm going to speak definitively about Christianity, is that in Christianity, you are taught to fake it till you make it. So there's not a lot of transparency. There's not a lot of honesty. There's not a lot of you showing up to be authentic. there's not a lot of room in Christianity for you to keep it real, for you to be you, for you to come flaws and all, for you to be honest, for you to just be yourself. Because true healing and freedom comes from admission, comes from confession, comes from being able to own where you're at in order to bring in, crack you open for God to shine light, for you to heal to the next level. And so if you're always in constant denial of where you're at and what you're going through or what you're struggling with, there's no real healing. There's no real breakthrough. So you've got a lot of Christians who are just walking around faking it, acting like they're fine. But this is why people, a lot of the time are just kind of shunning traditional Christianity, because they're saying, I don't want anything to do with church because it's a bunch of phony, fake, hypocritical, judgmental people. And so if you think of that as your average Christian and people's perspectives about Christians, then think about the next level on the ministry level. Think about pastors, ministers, apostles, bishops. They have even higher levels of fake, even higher levels of dishonesty, even higher levels of a mask, right? It is even a greater pressure to perform, a greater pressure to act like you've got it all together. And what I learned, so I went through my life saying, I'm never going to marry a pastor. Never, ever, never. So I find myself divorced after 10 years of marriage, married very young. And I find myself divorced, and I happen to meet a man, and he's a bishop. And I had been dating a little bit enough to say, okay, I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I'm going to give him a chance, right? And so I start dating this bishop, this man of God, even though I know in my heart, I'm just like, I don't want to marry a man of God. Don't want to marry, not a man of God. I don't want to marry a pastor, right? Bishop, any of that clergy stuff. And my reasons for that were because of the fake it stuff. Not being able to be authentic, I'm real. I'm authentic. I'm going to have a glass of wine at dinner. I'm going to go dancing. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to enjoy my life. God did not create me to be in such strong legalistic box where you're not allowed to enjoy your life. I'm going to be sexy. I'm going to be cute. I'm going to have great sex with my husband. I don't want to be in some uptight marriage where you're constantly worrying about what someone's going to say about you, or if they're going to see you doing something that you feel or they feel is not the right thing to do as the man or woman of God. And I'm like, no, I don't want that life. I knew what that was like growing up, watching my dad be double-minded, watching my dad trying to put on the face for the church, put on face for ministry, but behind the scenes, he's struggling. He can't be honest about depression. He can't be honest about feelings of inadequacy and insecurities. He can't be honest about nothing. It's all under the blood. It's all healed by the blood. It's under, by his stripes we are healed. BS. You guys can get mad at me. Bible thumpers can get mad at me all you want. But the only way you heal is by admitting where you're at and coming to a place where you can get help to overcome some issues and struggles. What about counseling? What about coaching? What about being able to deal with childhood trauma and abuse and issues that just don't go away because you just prayed on it or because you laid it at the altar? It has not been processed. So guess what? Some of the most hurt, jacked up people are ministers. I said it. Some of the most hurt and jacked up people walking this earth are so-called ministers. Why? Because they can't be honest. They can't be real. They daggone can't even be human. If you think about the requirements and pressures that are put on ministers to be this, act like this, look like this, wear this, they're judged constantly. And I say they because even though I'm a pastor, I don't lump myself in with this, right? I don't lump myself in, but they're judged. You can't wear you're judged on what you wear, what you look like, how you wear your hair. Don't be a first lady. Don't be a woman in ministry. Oh, you judged if you showing a little too much cleavage, not enough. Oh, she's too uptight. Oh, oh, why is she wearing a robe now? That's too much. She's taking herself too serious. She was trying to cover up so you don't talk about her curves showing, but now she's covered up too much. Don't get me started. It's like you cannot please everybody. You cannot. And ministers are under the gun constantly under this microscope that is like, can I live? Can they breathe? Can they be human? Not really. Not based on religious practices and religious, doctrines. They're trying to follow along in the Bible with all the conflicting messages, right? All the conflicting messages to try to appease everybody. Everybody. So guess what? Growing up in that, I'm saying, not me. I opt out. No thanks. No thanks. I don't want to sign up for that life. I don't. And so I'm dating, I meet this bishop. I'm like, okay, he seems like a nice guy. I'm going to give it a try. Let's just see. Man, listen, if that was not the worst thing, if that was not the worst decision I could have ever made, he fit every stereotype that I had of a minister. Seriously, I've never been more pressured in my life to have sex. This dude pressured me so much to have sex. It was worse than if I had just met somebody off a Bumble or met somebody on Plenty of Fish. This dude pressured me so hard. And then when I'm not giving in, here comes trying to use Bible scripture to make it seem like fornication isn't a sin. I ain't lying. Literally had the audacity to try to manipulate me into sleeping with him by trying to get me to think like, oh, it's not bad. Nowhere in the Bible does it say this. It's fine. God isn't judging us for this. And I'm looking at him like, dude, first of all, I don't even know you. Second of all, how many dates have we been on and you're over here trying to manipulate to get me to sleep with you. So you lying, manipulating, right? Orchestrating all these situations. And in the meantime, you don't know it. I'm sitting here looking at you like, dude, you done lost your mind. And by the way, you fit every stereotype of why I said I would never even date a pastor, much less marry one. Horrible behavior. And if we're honest with ministers, I'm not judging. There are some really, really great healed men and women of God. Really great men and women of God who have done their work and are healed and are, thriving in their personal life and professionally. And they really adhere to levels of integrity and character and love and faith. I get it. But you know what? Some of the most jacked up people I've met are quoting scriptures and proclaiming God out one side of their neck, but in behind the scenes, acting a whole hot mess, which is why people get so disillusioned with Christianity and religion and church, is because it's a one face to the world. That's right. There are a lot of pimp pastors and player pastors. That's right, Gregory. And that was my experience. And I'm just keeping it real. I literally said, wait a minute. These dudes are worse than the average person you would meet on the street. Worse. And that's not right. That's not right. Because at the end of the day, these men and women who are not out here adhering to the principles they're trying to hold other people accountable to. In other words, from the pulpit, you coming down on people for shacking up. You're coming down on people for drinking. You're sitting there judging and condemning people out of the pulpit. But behind the scenes, you're doing anything and everything and justifying it by manipulating the word of God and manipulating your entitlement, because you now have been drinking the Kool-Aid as if whatever rules you're trying to make apply to the people of God, the children of God, don't apply to you. I know I'm not the only one. And I've met people, and you get to know them. There are people I have met that I have esteemed by their public image, and you get to know them and you're like, whoa, time out. You are not who I think you are. Why are you so bitter? Why are you so angry? Why are you so conniving? Why are you so gossipy? Why are you so unhappy? Wow. And it's horrible. Horrible. So I met the bishop and I'm like, oh, that does it. That seals the deal. I'm done. Never. I'm done. Because it was just more of the same. And I was like, see, it just reinforced what I already felt and believed in my heart about people in clergy, people in ministry. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I turn around how many years later and meet Carrie Pope, right? But it's just like someone said, it's not for the faint of heart. You can find a really good, grounded woman or man of God. And guess what, guys? If they have been carrying that mantle of trying to help people and sow into people's lives, especially according to the broken traditional model of servant leadership, you've got a lot of broken, hurt ministers. You've got a lot of really deeply hurt ministers. So for those of you who are constantly talking about, you want a woman of God, you want a man of God, I am going to encourage you to be very careful. You're going to have to learn how to vet and qualify people in your single season. Everything that glitters is not gold. You better make sure you really know. Do you know how many people email me every week with stories of broken engagements, stories of just toxic, crazy marriages where they up and just knew it had to be the will of God. It was the hand of God. They met this incredible person, a credible, man of God. Oh, he's a minister. He's this. We're going to have a church. We're going to do, and literally hooked up with a narcissist, hooked up with a user, an abuser. Next thing you know, he choking her out or putting his hands on her or taking all of her money. That's right. Teely Marie says, yes, the Christian men I've experienced have been the worst. The worst. So here, my dating advice, when you are dating, don't be so quick to trust the self-proclaimed man or woman of God, right? Don't be so quick to drop your guard and jump all in because you just know it's got to be God because they're self-proclaimed man or woman of God. And don't be so quick to dismiss the person to you who seems like they're not as devout of a Christian, but maybe in more relationship with God than the so-called men and women of God. I'm talking to somebody. Some of you ladies get so caught up on the semblance of righteousness, the semblance of integrity, the semblance of faith, the semblance. And a man knows how to manipulate those things for you to drop your guard and trust. Whereas a man who's just being honest and sincere, hi Nigeria, can love you harder, greater, deeper, and more true than the little demon that's showing up at church every Sunday. Slow down. Do not be in a position where you're so desperate to be with somebody that you don't take your time getting to know them, making sure you know what you're signing up for. Because listen, the effects of a wrong choice and someone dropping your guard too fast, taking them at face value, we can't do that no more. Like my mama said, winking and blinking from the pulpit. Yup. Jasmine says, I got caught up in the title and not the fruit I was ignoring, right? Jasmine says, wow, the self-proclaimed OMG, I've had this experience. Stacy in the City 15, I found you on YouTube. I do have a recent broken engagement. He doesn't agree with me wanting the man to be the sole provider. We literally broke up over that. See, Stacy, that's the kind of stuff that's got to be discussed before you get married. And if you're not on the same page, it's good you found out before you said I do. Good thing you found out. It's, hey, you dodged a bullet. If you have certain expectations and he has certain expectations and you guys can't meet in the middle, it's not going to work. That's why I definitely recommend marriage counseling, premarital counseling. Get in front of some wise and experienced counselors to help you make these really big decisions. So you set in place some responsibilities and expectations and roles going into one of the most important partnerships of your life, marriage. It's serious. It's really serious. So everything that glitters isn't gold. Elysian thoughts. Religious preference guarantees nothing. I'd rather not pursue Christian women at all. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, I watch a lot of Christian people who are really coming from a place of desperation. Desperation. You desperately just want to be with somebody. Desperately want to be with somebody. And because you desperately want to be with someone, you will lower your guard too quickly, move in too fast. How do you talk about your faith without being so imposing? Stacy says, exactly, I don't want to struggle. Am I wrong for wanting that? Stacy, I can't say that anybody's wrong for what they want. I would say, Stacy, that in 2020, you wanting to find a man who's going to pay all the bills and you don't work and be the sole provider or the sole breadwinner, you're narrowing down your pool of potential partners extremely, because I don't know too many men doing well enough to support an entire household and even future children on one income. So unless you're wanting to make sure you live a certain lifestyle that's going to be on the level that he can afford, and I think some men are fine with that, but you have to truly, honestly be able to be happy with that. Or are you going to be over here wanting some lavish lifestyle on just his income, or want him to kill himself to provide some fancy lifestyle for you on one income while you just sit back and don't work? KFab says, I used to want that until I realized God had bigger things for me to do. Right. Like my son said to me, he's like, Mom, you're kind of like a stay-at-home mom, but you're like a rich stay-at-home mom. That's what my son said to me the other day. I'm like, baby, I am not a stay-at-home mom. There's a difference. I work from home, but I'm not a stay-at-home mom. That's right. These are modern days. Not too many men are fully supporting women without a price. Ooh, she said something right there. She said something right there. Seriously, there's a price. A lot of women I know who stay at home and the husband makes all the money, there's a control issue. There's financial abuse. There's all kind of things that begin to enter in, and you have to take all of that into account, ladies. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just not built that way. I love my companies. I'm an entrepreneur. I love, making money. So, that would just never work for me. But for those of you who really think, I want to be a kept woman, I want to stay home and raise kids and not work, I just say that's going to become harder and harder for you to find in the 21st century. Harder and harder to find, because those traditional gender roles are bending, seriously bending. Laura says, the church is a hospital. There are people there who just won't take their meds. I simply steer away from them. Listen. Empowered millennial, not everyone is gifted for marriage. Matthew 19, pursue purpose. Marriage may not be it. If he is not in Christ, women at home is fine. We get in that word. Pray while listening. Study the word. I think that Proverbs 31, woman worked and was active. I think that in these days and times, you guys, you know, it's really easy to get yourself backed into a corner by saying what you will and you won't do, and what you want and don't want. And that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their preferences. However, you know, one of the things that I think is needs to be said is you don't have as many options as you really think you do. And I'm not putting any limits on God. I'm just saying that in the days and times we now live in, social media has made everybody feel as if you've got all of these incredible options. And so you're weighing everything and comparing everything to some perfect ideal situation you have in your mind. And the reality is, you know, if that person were to show up, would they even want you? I mean, our egos are so out of control, and we are living in such a narcissistic society that it's all about me, 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 me. And we've gotten it, the ego has literally taken over to where it's like you feel like you deserve this, I deserve that, the no settle lifestyle and da da da. And I'm like, you know, we are talking about human beings. You know, we're not making people in a lab here, you guys. I mean, you're talking about just flawed humans. You're talking about people who are in different places of healing, different mental health levels, different financial things. I mean, you're just talking about people who are doing the best they can with what they've been giving and looking to try to build their own lives. And so, you know, by the time you get done, a lot of the time with such ridiculous lists, I mean, I have a video called Ditch the List, right? You're literally stacking this stuff so high, but then you wonder why you fall for somebody who just tries to appear to be, they say all the right things, and so you fall for it, but you don't really want real, because real isn't going to meet all of those lists. I've come to the realization I may have to be single to get what I want. Right. Gregory, the list has to be realistic. Exactly. I mean, because you're not talking about robots, you're talking about human beings. And if there's not some give, if there's not some grace, a really, really good word, grace, to say, you know, man, he's got all these wonderful attributes. And yeah, there's some things over here that are not so great, but the good so far outweighs the bad, right? And it's like, wow, he's such a great person. And you choose to focus on the good. Hey, Renee, do you offer life coaching in person? If so, do you have a website to schedule an appointment? I do offer it in person. Your first consultation is over the phone, and then we can talk about in person if you're needing that. There is a link on my about section, or I'll add them to this video. And yeah, you can just go to RebeccaLynnPope.com and book a consultation. So anyway, guys, what did Rob say? I thought she was about to say the F word. Look, I've been known. Rob, you catch some of my videos and you get me fired up. I have been known to let a curse word, you know, slip here and there. I will own it. That's why I am like, no, don't call me Pastor Rebecca Pope. Don't call me prophetess. Don't call me that. I'm just Rebecca. Y'all not going to put me up on a pedestal. You're not going to put me up on a pedestal, y'all. I read recently, it says when you let people put you on a pedestal, a halo can quickly become a noose, right? Don't let people put you on a pedestal, because the same reasons they love you, they'll turn around and hate you. No thanks. I'm good. Don't put a halo on my head. I'm just Rebecca, y'all. I'm just Rebecca. All glory to God. All glory to God. Like, don't try to give Rebecca no credit for nothing. Because the next thing you know, you'll be turning on me and trying to hang me up. String me up. She said, no thanks. I'm human, just like y'all. Just got a lot of experience, got a lot of wisdom, got a lot of stuff I've been through. I've learned a lot of life lessons. That's it. No halo. Do you accept Bitcoin donations? No, I don't accept Bitcoin donations. Sorry, Ray. I don't know how to use that. I've not gotten into all that. They will turn on you in a New York minute. You better say that, Crystal. Nope, I've learned the hard way. You're not putting me on no pedestal. You and I are the same. We are the same. We are on the same level. We are all in this together. We are all human. Some of us have just been certain gifts to teach, certain gifts to heal, certain gifts for different things. That's it. But you got gifts too. But don't be trying to put a halo on my head. All right, guys, I love you. Blessings in abundance. I am going to start coming on regularly one day of the week. I'm going to call it the Rebecca Lynn Pope Show. And I'm going to be answering questions live. So you can tune in and ask questions and about anything. Abundant life, dating, whatever you want. I'm going to start coming live once a week. So I'll announce it and let you guys know when I'm going to be doing that. And so you guys can tune in and ask questions as well. I'll have to do it in the evening so more of you guys can come on. Rob, that is very sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, guys. Blessings in abundance. Have a great week. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.